Hello there and welcome back to part 8 of my Godot Asteroids tutorial. In this one we're going to do probably one of the more mathematical ones. So we're going to do the camera shake. It's such a cool effect and it's really easy to do in Godot. And I just wanted to build this effect up. Rather than just give you the code, I wanted to show you how and why it works, and then we'll have it implemented inside of this game. As with a lot of the stuff that we're doing in this game, we're going to have the game script be in charge of doing this, but we're gonna use the component of a camera. So to the game, if we add a child node of a camera 2D, just add that in as a child of game, and I'm just going to quickly rename this to camera, and we're going to add a script onto this camera. It needs to inherit from camera 2D, so I'm going to actually just select on this this plus up here to add the script, so it gives me the correct inheritance, and it's an empty again, and I'm just going to click create. So we have camera.gd, and I'm quickly going to save this one. It is kind of annoying when you do that. It's an automatic save that it weirdly puts it in this first folder here. So I'm going to take this camera.gd and put it in the scripts folder, so it keeps things organised. Not sure if there's a better way of doing that. The camera is going to be the viewport now, and so you can see that it's not quite the centre of our screen. So it doesn't really matter too much. We could actually move everything over, but because we've set everything up to be there, all I'll do is I'll just move this camera. So if you just give this camera an offset of half of the resolution, so it was 1024 was the X, so that's a 512, and it was 600 for the Y, so that's obviously half of that is 300, so that just sets the camera offset back to the centre right here. So nothing should have changed. Actually, one thing I want to do is inside of this camera, one of the things that you do have to set is that you need to make this one the enabled camera, the current camera. So inside this camera 2D, if you click on here, otherwise it's not even used. That allows you to have multiple cameras in your scene and just enable and disable them as you are required. But so we do need to set this as it's our only camera, so we'll set it as on, and then if I hit play, you'll see that nothing's changed. We've got exactly what we had before. However, the reason for doing this is inside of the camera component, what we have is we have this offset, this horizontal and vertical offset values, and what we're going to do in code is we're actually going to change these. You'll see they start off as 0, and they go to -1 and 1, and you'll see that the camera, the purple thing here, you'll see that this changes. This goes right and left for this horizontal offset, and for the vertical offset it goes up and down. So we can actually just stuff around with these values in order to have some sort of camera shake, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in a second. So I do apologise, but here comes the maths. I don't know if you've ever used Desmos. This is a graphing software online. This allows you to just plot X's and Y's, and what we're going to, the reason I'm showing you this is I'm just going to show you the sine X value if you've never seen this before. So the Y coordinate, the up and down, is equal to the sine of the X. So as the X goes up, and what we're going to do in our program is we're actually going to, the X value is going to be time. So a number, time, is going to go up, and as time goes up, so at 1 second it will be here, and at 2 it'll be here, and it'll be 3 it'll be here. So the Y value will go up and down smoothly between +1 and -1. Weirdly enough, that's exactly what we needed for our offsets inside that camera. And if we have time change, so time is the X value, then we'll have these values change. So let's just see what that looks like in a really simple way, and then we'll try and make it better. So I've got my camera 2D here, and I'm just going to create a variable, and we'll just call it t, and we'll initialize that to 0. Then we want to go to our process. So if we do _process, this we're just going to start with the absolute basics of this. So if you do want to look at the camera 2D, remember to hold Control and click on the camera 2D. But there is there is somewhere in this help, there is this horizontal and vertical offset. Yeah, there it is. So it's the offset H and offset V, and we're just going to change those values as time goes up. So if I can find my camera script again. Here we go. So all we'll say is that t is equal to t plus delta, so time does go up, and the offset, so as the offset h, we'll make that equal to the sine of t. So that should go up. And if we just start with the offset h, so that's the horizontal offset, this will make it go right and left, hopefully, by 1 and -1. So you see this sort of weird waving effect going on. So we're saying that the horizontal offset, everything's moving to the left and the right because you're seeing the camera is actually moving right and left, so it looks like everything's moving around, so it's kind of this weird effect. However, it's going so slowly that it doesn't look much like shake at all. So how do we make it go a bit faster? Well, all you need to do is multiply x by some value. So if I multiply the x by 10, for example, you'll see that the curve gets a lot faster. So as time goes up to 1, it's already gone up and down a few times. A good name for this would be its frequency. So this is like wave frequencies. So I'll just quickly create a new variable and we'll call it frequency. And I'll make that equal to 10. And then I'll multiply t by frequency. So this, if we just quickly have a quick look at this one, what we'll see now is that it does look a bit more like it's shaking. Actually, I think I can make it even more so we get a real cool effect. So it definitely looks like it's shaking now. However, we need it to kind of decay rather than shake all the time. We want to start a shake and then the shake sort of drifts down to 0 over a certain length of time. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to want to multiply this amount, this value. We're going to want to multiply that by an increasingly smaller number, and the way we could do that is I'm going to actually create just a variable at the top. We'll call this magnitude because that's a good name for it, and I'll make this equal to 1 for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this value by magnitude. So nothing will change if I was to run it right now, just to prove it. Everything's still working as is. It's multiplying it by effectively 1, so it's the same. But if we, over time, lerp this magnitude down to 0, then we should see the sine wave get smaller and smaller. So if I just do that, so I'll just say magnitude equals, and we'll lerp magnitude down to 0, and we'll use just the delta times 1. I'm doing the times 1 so that I can change it when I want to. This is effectively the speed that it's going to go down to 0, so this should take approximately 1 second to go to 0. So if we hit this, we can see that the lerp starts and gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it reaches 0. So because it's a camera shake, we want to be able to fire this value. We want to be able to set, effectively all we need to do is set this magnitude value back up to 1 again when we actually trigger a shake. So let's create a new function and we'll call this shake, because that's a good name for it. And then we'll just say that when we run this shake, we'll say magnitude equals 1. And that will effectively just set it back up to 1 again. Now, I want to be able to test this based on a key press. So what I think I'll do, actually, well, I'll just do it in here. So I'll do it in process. I'll just say if input dot and then is action just pressed. So when I press the, I don't know, let's make the fire button the thing that we press. So when we press the fire button, we'll initialize this camera shake function. So we'll run shake, which should set this magnitude back up to 1 again, and then the whole thing will keep going. Remember, the process runs it runs every frame regardless. So effectively we're shaking the camera all the time, just that the value is so small that you don't notice. So let's test this out and see if it works. So I press the fire button and we should go back to shaking again. And it works perfectly. So I definitely don't want it to shake for quite so long. I think I'll multiply this by, I think 10. I want a really kind of a much shorter shake so it lerps down to 0 a lot quicker. Let's just try this one. So we get a brief shake when the fire button is pressed. Probably should change that. It's kind of annoying to have to press fire and get the shake, but we'll do it on the explosion soon anyway. The next thing I wanted to talk about was just getting the next offset, and it seems really simple because in theory you could effectively just copy this, paste it in here, but instead of H you use V, so you get an offset of horizontal and vertical, and you get an actual speed and you get a magnitude. So if we run this right now, you'll see what I mean when we do this. So what we get is we get this weird effect where it only really seems to go diagonally, and that's because the offsets are effectively matched. What we can do in order to do that is just we can actually change where we start with in the sine wave. I'll go back to the sine wave here. So what we can do is we can make some random number between maybe 0 and 1, and then have that added on to this value right here. So if you watch the wave, if I add on 1, you'll see that the wave's moved slightly. It's slightly offset, so the same value of x gives you a different point in the curve. So all I need to do is kind of like add on some random value when I initialize the shake to the sine wave, so that we don't start at exactly the same place in the sine wave. Let's just implement that. So we'll put in this, what shall we call it? We'll call it x. We'll call it x start, and we'll make it equal to 0. And we'll have another one called y start, and we'll make that one equal to 0 as well. I should keep these consistent, so I'll put an underscore between them. And then all we'll do is we'll add on the x start right here, and we'll add on the y start right here. So when we start running this wave, we're finding a different point in the curve, and then when we initialize the shake, we're just going to set these to some random values, so that we're starting at a different point in the curve every time. So we've done randoms before, so we'll just say x start equals, and then we'll make a rand range, and I'm just going to say between 0 and 1. It really kind of doesn't matter. I could be more complicated about it and use a calculation based on the frequency, but I just don't want to. This will work fine. So this will give us different points. So if we test this again, we should get a shake that's slightly more sort of like random and circular. So we see that it goes in a different direction almost every time. I think what I should do is do the randomize again, because it seems to be kind of consistent. So let's try this now. Yep, so that doesn't look too bad at all. And the last major thing to do is to make this happen, not when you press the fire button, because that's horrible, but we want it to happen when the asteroids are exploded. In the last one, inside of our game script, we actually had this on asteroid destroyed function that plays the sound. So this was hooked up to every single asteroid. That way, every time an asteroid is destroyed, the game gets informed about the asteroid, and we create the explosion sound. The good news is there's a great place to use this camera shake too. So it's really simple. You just drill down to the camera and you run the shake function on it. Because we were clever enough to do it that way. What we should end up with now is that we should see that we get a camera shake every time we destroy the asteroid. You'll notice that the camera as well, we started with the magnitude at 1, so we should really start with the magnitude at 0, because we want to set that magnitude up to 1 when we initialize the shake, not at the beginning of the game. So that way it doesn't shake right at the beginning, as you saw in the last example. I think I also want to change this value up. I'm actually going to use 2 times pi. That's like one full one full rotation kind of thing. So this gives me a much bigger value to work with, and we should get a little bit more randomness inside of the camera shake when we do this. So that's pretty much all there is to this video. I know it's quite mathematical, but I hope you followed along okay, and we've ended up with a pretty cool and simple function with a great effect. So we're complete with the camera shake. We've got nearly a functional game. I think score and level progression is one of the key things. We want to be able to kind of like win this game and have a point of playing it by trying to get a high score. And then there's some other polish elements like adding in the rocks perhaps, and definitely particles, and the menu would be a cool thing to have. So I hope you're enjoying the series, and please like and subscribe as I've mentioned before, and I'll see you in the next one.